Later, one day, Madam personally visited the courtyard and spoke with second young master for an entire night. The maids gathered together, sighing dramatically over love and heartbreak. Curious, I went over to ask what had happened. Ordinarily, they wouldn't bother speaking to me, but perhaps they were too miserable to mock me this time. So they explained everything. The moment I heard it, I understood. Madam was arranging a marriage for second young master. By then, eldest young master had already been married for more than 3 years, and even had a son. Meanwhile, second young master spent all his days fooling around and showed no interest whatsoever in his own future. Over the years, the master had gradually handed the family business over to eldest young master. Only after everything had settled did he finally remember the matter of his younger son's marriage. Although second young master was infamous for gambling, womanizing, and wasting his life away, the Yang family was powerful beyond measure and had more silver than they could spend. As a result, countless families still came to propose marriage. When Madam asked for second young master's opinion, he merely replied, "Just pick the prettiest one." Madam sighed deeply in disappointment before leaving. In the end, the master and Madam selected the daughter of a wealthy tea merchant. This tea merchant family was no ordinary household either. They were highly respected throughout Hangzhou. Their daughter had just turned 16, a flower in full bloom. The two families arranged a meeting. That day, second young master woke up late and couldn't even be bothered to dress properly before strolling out. And yet, the young girl took one glance at him and was instantly captivated by his exceptional charm. Her parents had initially hesitated somewhat, but after considering the Yang family's immense wealth and influence, they figured there was no harm in supporting a useless rich young master. So they agreed to the marriage. After that, Madam began purging the women from second young master's courtyard. For half a month, ghostly wailing filled the courtyard day and night. I lost sleep for several consecutive nights, and my face became even thinner and more monkey-like than before. But fortunately, thanks to this monkey face of mine, Madam never even glanced my way during the cleanup. Thus, I safely remained in second young master's courtyard. Aside from me, there was only an elderly servant named Granny Feng, already over 50 and half deaf. Other than the two of us, there wasn't even a single female mouse left in the courtyard. The servants, guards, attendants, and stewards were all men. Second young master was deeply dissatisfied with this arrangement. Everyone knew his temper was difficult. When women were around to pamper him, he was manageable enough. But without women, he became like a wild dog that had broken free of its leash. A wild horse. Granny Feng's hearing was too poor to deal with him. So naturally, I became the sole target of second young master's frustrations. I had spent more than 2 years in his courtyard, yet all those years combined didn't compare to those 2 months alone. Even when he played with birds in the courtyard and got bored afterward, he would still kick me a couple times for amusement. Did I dare resist? Of course not. And so, day after day, I became his outlet for anger while secretly praying for the new year to arrive quickly. Why was I so desperate for the year to pass? Because second young master's wedding was scheduled for the very end of the year. Once the new mistress entered the courtyard, second young master surely wouldn't have the energy to kick me around anymore. But just as I was counting the days, something happened to second young master. Or rather, something happened to the Yang family. That time, the master planned a business trip to Jiangsu. Coincidentally, second young master had been unable to endure staying home any longer and tried sneaking off to a brothel, only to be dragged back midway. Furious, the master forced him to accompany the trip. And shortly after they left, everything went wrong. As for what exactly happened, a lowly maid like me could never know the full story. That day, I was washing clothes as usual when I suddenly heard screams erupting outside the courtyard. Before I could understand what was happening, a group of government officers stormed in. They ransacked every room violently, smashing many of second young master's treasured possessions along the way. That night, after the officers left, I saw the women of the household huddled together weeping. Their cries were utterly miserable. They continued through the entire night. I didn't know what had happened. I only knew that from that day onward, the Yang residence no longer existed. The grand estate was sealed off. All of us were moved to a small residence the master had purchased long ago in the outskirts. Madam gathered the servants together, distributed silver to each person, and told us to leave. It was the first time I had ever seen Madam dressed like an ordinary commoner. And yet, Madam was still Madam. No matter what she wore, she remained beautiful. When it was my turn to receive my silver, for some reason, I found myself asking, "Madam, where is our second young master?" The moment she heard my question, Madam's eyes instantly reddened, covering her mouth. She burst into tears.